Since August of 1969, this home to 999 ghosts has been playfully scaring and entertaining guests for over half a century. Sometimes mystic, part phantom, and with each location differing slightly in design, every representation of the Haunted Mansion never fails in reminding guests that a ghost may follow them home. Welcome to Secondhand Mock's Halloween Design Challenge 2024. When our friends at Bricks Minifigs Laguna Niguel, California suggested a Halloween-themed design, we immediately thought, what's more Halloween than Disney's Haunted Mansion? However, we only had 4 weeks to design, collect pieces, and build a mock for the competition. There are several Haunted Mansion designs and layouts, depending on which theme park you visit. The decision was made to not attempt an entire attraction. That comes later. But to focus on key elements that fans would recognize. It would be hard to argue which room or feature is the best with so many favorite memories and options to choose from. Who could forget the ghost party in the Grand Ballroom? Or the medium herself from regions beyond, Madame Leota? For us, the stretching portrait room is one of the coolest features worthy of a chilling challenge, especially when building with Lego. After all, how does one build an octagonal room with stretching walls based off a grid system? The original Disneyland stretching room was actually an accident designed out of necessity. Walt Disney had a location in mind for the mansion, but one thing the park needed was more space to grow. You see, they had the beginning of an idea, they just didn't know what it was going to be. Was it a walkthrough? A ride attraction? The full layout wasn't designed yet, so when the original idea began to finally take shape, the Imagineers had painted themselves into a corner. Fortunately, the designers at Disney had run into a coincidental issue when they developed the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction and decided on a similar solution. If there was no room inside the park, then they would simply build it outside. An elaborate elevator would carry guests down one floor, through a tunnel under the railroad tracks encircling the park, and into the main building that housed the attraction. It proved so popular that this feature was even included in the Florida version at the Magic Kingdom, even though it wasn't needed. The decision was to keep the basic footprint of the design to one 32 by 32 stud base plate. The stretching room alone would take close to 2/3 of the base. The second biggest decision after getting the octagon to work was, how do we get the walls to stretch? We can say that there are several solutions, and this was maybe the most difficult one to make. Our first design had a top and bottom half where the bottom stayed fixed and the builder could pull a frame that held the full portraits upward. This design, while doable, illuminated the fact that this effect is meant to be viewed from the figure's perspective, meaning to really appreciate this room, unless you have a small enough camera, fans would need to be literally standing inside the middle of it. Another solution was to create a straight hallway with all the portraits aligned, easily raised by a lever and viewed from one outward direction. Again, a solvable problem, but then we would be sacrificing the very thing that helps to make this room memorable, the octagon footprint. The final decision was made where we built the octagonal walls, placed the portraits in their full extensions, and allowed fans to view from high above. As a consolation and added bonus, we designed a small lock-in pivot into the design that does allow fans a glimpse of the room at the figure's level, directly toward the doors leading to and from the foyer. With the biggest issue solved, and with a little extra time, the next phase of the design asked the question, what else or other elements could we add to help remind people of where they are? Obviously, if you have a stretching room, then you would need to have a foyer with Master Gracey's portrait. There was an early design for rotating images behind a decorative fixed picture frame that would recreate the image's slow decline and ultimate decay. Certainly possible with more time and pieces maybe, but we decided on the final resting image of Master Gracey providing an aura of foreboding. With the main room coming together, the focus shifted on how we could cover up as many unsightly construction pieces as possible. The lead into the foyer became the hallway, complete with glaring, ghostly head busts and creepy paintings or portraits found throughout the mansion. Above, the haunted attic, complete with a ghost of the bride herself, Constance Hatchaway. Back across the foyer, we had enough pieces to create a very basic but abstract version of the classic cursed mansion wallpaper. In the final corner of the build, a very fun flip-side version of the haunted library. This is complete with a version of the Hatbox ghost holding court from an adjacent balcony, while high above, the candelabra from the endless hallway makes an appearance. Several other Easter eggs are hidden throughout the build, but for the most part, you do the best you can with the time or pieces you have. Having some spare roof pieces and details, there were enough left to add some facade details recreating the Gothic revival style of the Florida attraction, because every piece has its place. We hope this small mock brings back some good and frightful memories. It was a fun challenge, and who knows, maybe someday we'll revisit with lessons learned and attempt a full build of the ride. Until next Halloween, beware of hitchhiking ghosts, and thanks again for watching.